If I asked you, how much does it cost to get one person to do business with you? Tell me you could answer me. Tell me you're one of the few. Well, most likely you probably fall into like the 97% of the people who do not know that number. It's the most important number that you can actually get to. So I want to spend the next few minutes with you going through how we analyze that number. What makes it profitable? How do you go through a process that's going to get you more from your customers and clients up front so that your cash flow can remain positive depending on where you're at in your business? Because if you're not working with funding, if you're a self-funded business owner, then you're going to need to have a system that's going to provide you with the funds to float your business to the next month. And if you do have a longer buying cycle, then you need to understand how do you get more people to buy at a higher frequency so you can increase that amount that they're purchasing that time that they do business with you. A lot of things we're going to go through, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I'm going to spend the next probably few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes with you going through a client account, showing you how we prepared the end of the year report, how over 78 days, I was able to put together an extra $80,000 for them with only about $30,000 total invested into the ad spend. And when we go into the numbers, we're going to see that Google ended up giving us about a almost 3-to-1 return, whereas Facebook gave us a 7.2-to-1 return. Why is that? What does that mean for us? How can we use this information to scale further? Well, we were able to go, I'll go into the details in a second. Go ahead and sit down with me right now. I'll go through this with you. Just stick with me, and I'll share with you everything that you need to know about how to scale profitably with predictability.
All right, we're hopping in right now, and I want to share with you a couple of things about how I'm going to review my client accounts. Now, this is going to be helpful for those who are interested in seeing how to analyze the data within their own ad accounts, knowing what metrics to look for, and why it's important to have a plan and a strategy that is going to go ahead and get you out of the dumps if you are not seeing good results. So first thing is we're going to look at a few different platforms. We're going to take a look into Google. We're going to take a look into Facebook, as you can see on the screen, and we're going to go into the current results that my client's seeing. Now, they're not just overnight results. These are results that we've been working on for the last 2.5 months. So we're going to review data over the last 78 days, and we're going to share this. I'm going to share this with you so that you know how to close out your year, right? We're in 2022 right now. So if you did not know what your cost per acquisition was for last year, meaning if you did not know how much it cost your company to generate one new customer or client, then you're never going to know how to actually scale. Your strategies are always going to be missing the most important variable, which is the cost per acquisition. Once we know what it takes to get one person to do business with you, then we can start working through the cycle, that customer cycle, that client buying cycle, so that we can see how many ongoing purchases do they have? What's their lifetime value? So I'm going to go over those numbers with you today so you can review and see, okay, well, my 30-day upfront return versus my lifetime value return, completely different. And depending on the resources that you have available in your business is going to determine your strategy. So think of it like this. If you have less of a resource available, then you need to set up a sales system and have a process that can get you paid more upfront faster so that your company can have the flow it needs and you could pay yourself while you're scaling the company. This is very important. A lot of the time, most marketers or business owners who are doing their own marketing, they are not focused on the right metric. So they don't know exactly how to determine a successful campaign or what a successful promotion is. They don't know what ad works. They don't know what offer works. They're just kind of putting things out there. And then when something works and it stops, it's like, well, what did I do to make this work at one point? And if that's you and you're stuck in what do I do next because nothing I seem to do works longer than a day or two, I'm constantly having to revamp everything, I'm going to share with you what we're doing and why it's working so well today. So the first thing that we have to focus on is this is over the last, let's just do it from, let's do last month, but then let's make it more accurate. Let's go back to where they're all at. December. We're going to go back to October 9th, and we're going to close out the year, okay, to December 31st. So you could see that in this particular ad campaign here, right, we've only had about 2,600. You can see the lifetime was a little bit different because of what we've done so far in the last couple of days. We just continue to scale this thing. And we've got just about 2,600, but this isn't the thing that I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on just the cost per purchase here. And the reason why I'm bringing this up first is because when I show you what's going to happen on Google, that's where a majority of the budget is for my client. We're doing about 90% of our budget on Google, and then we are following back up with that into Facebook. So as you can see, we're doing about $22 per purchase, $11 per purchase, or $111 per purchase in between there, depending on where we're going. And this is actually a big difference. Notice 22 to 111. We might be saying, well, Brandon, why is this one off when it's at $22? That's a great question. The reason why we had to turn this one off was because the entire system shifted. We went from actually having to have these purchases being labeled as a purchase while they were going through and filling out a form that was really connecting them to customer service. So in other words, this was a purchase that was made over the phone, but it was never a verified purchase. It was not 100%, right? It was about probably 60 or 70%. So this $22 is most likely about $48 in real time, but still it was not trackable. So on days where, let's say, the sales team did not do well, this number could be higher than the 111. You get what I mean? So we had to turn this off and have the back-end system revamped. So what we did is we separated now the call center from the actual purchase point on the website. So these purchases are now accurately reporting $111 per purchase, $111 per purchase made on the website. Very important to understand the difference and why we would have to turn these things off. Again, we're focusing on metrics. We're focusing on scaling. And with these folks doing about, I think, 4 million a year, we have to really make sure that we're watching our pennies. So when we're going here and we're going to check now, again, think about this, 22 per purchase, 111 per purchase. Let's come over to Google, okay? $85 cost per conversion. $85 cost per conversion. Now that's really good because what does that mean? That means that we're seeing less of a cost per conversion on Google than we are on Facebook. Hop back to Facebook, we're at 111. Hop over to Google, we're at 85. Really good to see. Now let's actually take a look at what we're seeing as far as what's the cost that we're getting back. Like, what is the order value? That's what we need to pay attention to, right? If we know that we're going to be paying $85 for a new customer on Google, and we're going to be paying $111 per purchase on Facebook, is that profitable? Do we know how to actually, are we getting money back enough to actually run this profitably? Well, let's take a look at what their average order value is. If we hop over into analytics, you're going to see the average order value over that same time frame, right? From October 9th to December 31st, right? They pushed out a little over almost $700,000 with an average order value of $222. Now, this average order value is specifically from the marketing campaigns that we ran during that time that I was attached to. So I brought in an additional $41,000 for those folks by working with my company. And that average order value was not much less than what they were seeing from their organic or from other campaigns. So their average order value they were used to was $230. That's including everything. We came in at $222. So we're right around, we're actually within about like 1% or however, like what, 10%, some very small percentage, $8, right? Of being the exact same that they were used to. So we're not losing. That's the big thing to pay attention to. When some companies come in to work with you, you may get more orders, but those orders may be of less value. And so either it's a wash or you end up doing more work for less pay. And that doesn't seem like a fair trade. So what we want to do is when we come in to work with a company, we want to make sure that we are also we're not just focusing on bringing in more sales. We're making sure we're bringing in more sales of higher value, right? Equal or higher value. That's what we're looking for. And right now we're pretty darned equal. We still have a lot of room to optimize. Again, this is only about 78 days of working together, but you could see that within that time frame, their cost per acquisition prior to, we'll kind of hop back over here to, this is the report I made for them. This is the report that we went over. And so you'll see that with everything going over since October 10th, how many clicks, what's been happening. I'll kind of make this a little bit bigger for us. But this is what I go through with my clients to make sure that they have a clear understanding about what their numbers look like. So notice, we were able to pull in $80,000 off of 33 in ad spend. Now this is an immediate return during their slowest time. So an immediate return during their slowest time. How amazing is that? So they're not losing money on ad spend, which a lot of times companies will do, right? They want to see their profits and their ongoing revenue happen after day 30, because that's where a lot of companies can really make their buku bucks. What we've been able to do is get them a 2.38 return immediately. And really what's going to happen is that's going to be 3 to 1 because of what we've seen over the last couple weeks by monitoring the data. Then if we have a 30% return of those customers, that's an extra $27,000 added, making it closer to a 4.5 to 1 ROA, right? Versus the 2.38. So when we get to the 4.5, that's within 60 days. Okay, 60 to 90, within 30 to 90 days, I should say right here, you're going to see that this company is going to be at a 4.1 to 4.5 to 1. Now, what does that mean for your company? Like I'm talking about this as if this is possible for, like I'm just going through this with my company. No, this is possible for you. How do we get this set up? Even if you're not dealing with this kind of ad spend. I've gone through many, many videos. And actually for the first few years, I was working with nothing but micro budgets. So my clients would come in with about $1,000 to $2,000 per month. They would need to get that to create some type of return so they could feel comfortable seeing profit or some type of cash flow that's being, returned to them. And as long as they're not losing out on money, they feel comfortable to then reinvest and then scale that system to a profitable level that's going to help remove some of the work they're seeing and doing every day. So in the beginning, there's nothing wrong with starting with $1,000 to $2,000 per month in your ad spend. There's nothing wrong with that at all. As you can see, as you start to grow, this company's doing about, like I said, about $4 million a year. And we've now helped them collect about $80,000 just from this campaign over the last 78 days with only a $33,000 investment. Now that is bringing in 170 new purchases and then 497 sales calls. Those 497 sales calls actually generated $42,000 for the company. So there's so much that we can do when we think about the systems that are involved and how we can bring in more revenue, how to build a top line and the bottom line, how to create systems so that your sales calls go easier and how your team can get more efficient. A lot of great things we can go through. Then if we look at what the cost per acquisition was again, or the return on the ad spend because of that. So 2.38 on Google, but then when we look on Facebook, we are looking at 7.29 to 1, right? Big difference. Big difference. Now, a lot of the time, the reason why this is because these are going to be a lot more of those that are found on Facebook that are primed because of what we've done prior to them seeing this ad. So 123 customers for a lot less of an ad spend, right? $3,600 during this time that we measured for an approximate revenue of $26,000. So doesn't matter the media platform you're on. What matters about the offer, the system, and the setup that you have. Very important, very important. Okay, so that's one thing I wanted to share with you guys today is to let you know that you can get this set up for yourself. You can make sure that you do have a system that's going to be able to push out these numbers predictably, just as we have today. Now, the metrics you want to focus on are going to, of course, be your cost per acquisition. Then you want to reverse engineer all the magic metrics from that point to make sure that you're going to hit that number. So another way of saying that would be if I know that our budget, okay, my whole goal is to make sure that our cost does not go above $100 cost per acquisition, or if it does go above $100, that we are reducing it by 10% on a monthly basis. So that is how we want to make sure we are going about your same growth. Is it, okay, what's your cost per acquisition ceiling? And then we have to work on optimizing that system so that you can scale without seeing diminishing returns. Notice we're at $500 a day on this campaign. This started, right? That's $15,000 a month. That's, what is it? That is, what is that? We started at 100. That's a 500% increase, right? And we went from, I think it was $68 cost per conversion to $85 cost per conversion as we rose from 100 to 500. So I want you to have real expectations as you're going through this, and I'm sharing this with you, and I'm glad you stayed with me this long. There's a lot that you have to pay attention to when it comes to building your systems, because if you're going to scale, you have to have the expectation to know that your costs will still increase. There's no way for you to stay at the exact same cost as you put in more money. There's going to be a penalty. There's going to be an expansion clause, right? It's not really an expansion clause. There's nothing really in Google that's going to say out loud that they're going to charge you more. But what happens with every scaling system is that you're going to, or every scaling strategy, is that you're going to see an increase in that cost. You're going to. It's still going to remain fairly consistent, but you're going to see an increase in it. So what can we do to offset that is make sure you have ongoing promotions that are going to capture future sales so you can increase frequency and increase average order value. Once you do those two things, you're now on the path to profits. So if you'd like some help with setting up your own system, please feel free to find the link of the button around this video or visit our main website at northwicksconsulting.com and go ahead and schedule your time with me or one of my specialists this week. We'll go through your accounts, we'll go through your numbers, set your expectations, and make sure you have a proper strategy set up just for you. So I hope you found some value in today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.